Hello, this is a review of the Premier League game between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest. Well, every week it's going to be a review of Arsenal versus somebody. My display picture could have given you the impression that I'm a fan of Arsenal football. This game is super significant to Nottingham Forest because it's the first game since a new manager has taken over. His name is Angie. He was previously the manager of Tottenham Hotspurs. This game is also super important to them because blah 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 blah, nobody cares. Arsenal made two changes to the team that started at Anfield last week. Odegaard started and Eberechi Eze made his very first start for Arsenal. Of course, this besides the change we made within the first 5 minutes of the game at Anfield with Christian Mosquera coming in for William Saliba. Right? I thought that with the number of Arsenal players that are getting injured, you really needed the reminder. So Merino, Odegaard and Zubamendi started in midfield. With our first Champions League game happening in a couple of days, we really need the rotation. And guess what was different this time? We have everything we need for rotation. You know who this guy is? Do you know who this guy is? These were our substitutes last season. What I loved most about all the substitutes that came in for Arsenal today was that I recognized each and every one of them. We started off very bright, and everything that usually happens within the first 10 minutes of an Arsenal home game happened yesterday. Right? A clear goal scoring opportunity, a great amount of possession, and a player injured. Again, within almost the same week. And how did he get injured? He fell on exactly that part of the body that was injured last week, right? I mean, God, if you're listening, it stopped being funny after the first 300 times. Why don't you screw with some other team for a change, man? I loved what Merino did the entire match. Right? Here's an example of a guy who was extremely dynamic. He offered himself whenever, wherever possible, right? And got into a couple of very good goal scoring positions also. I don't think people quite notice how difficult it is to get the ball off him, man. He is a guy who operates very, very well under pressure and gets himself out of tight spaces very, very well. Right? And the versatility is equally interesting, man. Here is an example of a guy that we can play at CM, CAM, CF. The idea, at least as far as attack is concerned, is to put together about 9 or 10 attackers who are all equally capable of surprising opponents. Noni Madueke was our best player by a mile today. Like, nobody is as devastated as the left back from Nottingham Forest today because Noni Madueke was toying with him. He probably got past him about 6 or 7 times. If this guy can work a little bit on his final product, he can be a very, very interesting substitute when we really need that goal. And you could see the hunger too. The hunger is evident. It was evident against Liverpool. It's like he was the only attacker who was trying that day. What makes Noni Madueke very, very interesting to me is his contrasting nature to Bukayo Saka. Right? I would not want to be the defender who faced Bukayo Saka for 65 minutes and now I have to face a Noni Madueke with fresh legs. Because Bukayo Saka likes to cut in, likes to make those crosses from a different position. He likes to take those shots, the curlers. Whereas Noni Madueke uses brute force, brute pace to get past defenders. And he either crosses or shoots. He always makes sure there's an end. Like, this is the heat map of Noni Madueke today. This is the number of passes in the opposition box. I'm just kidding. I'm not showing you that shit. It's a new channel. I still haven't found a way to access that, okay? And almost equally interesting on the other side was a recent signing of ours, Eberechi Eze. Eza. I'm just going to call him Eze. His performance today was gorgeous and dare I say an element that we've missed all of these years. Now, if we're being very, very honest with ourselves, over the last few years, we have had the assurance of endurance, efficiency, but not flair. All of these years, we've missed flair and Eberechi Eze brings exactly that. Like, we haven't had flair for a while. We haven't had unpredictability for a while. And that is what makes Eberechi Eze the most exciting signing this season for me. Yes, Eberechi Eze, not Gyökeres. You see, with Gyökeres, as and when chances are created, there is a higher likelihood that the ball finds itself in the back of the net. But Eberechi Eze addresses a deeper problem Arteta has had to deal with for quite some time now. With Odegaard not looking as good as he looked in 2023 and 2024, we really needed someone to give Gyökeres something to work with, right? If you don't create enough chances for Gyökeres, there is no point in counting the number of hair flicks he's had every match, being extremely toxic to him on Instagram. There is just no point. It's like blaming your son for not playing FIFA. Here's a wild idea. Try getting him a fucking PlayStation. Eberechieze brings with him a brand of unpredictability. I get the feeling he will enable Odegaard and Victor Gyökeres to do their jobs better, right? And something tells me he's the missing piece of the puzzle we've all been waiting for. I, of course, deduce all of this from the few videos of him that I've seen and the 3-4 moments that I've already seen this season on with an Arsenal shirt. This was in the beginning of the match. This was in the 56th minute of the match. Of course, the assist. And this was one moment from the game against Liverpool. Zubimendi, of course, with his 2-goal contribution today. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not too excited about the goals that he scored. I mean, if it pleases him, I'm very happy for him, of course. But I cannot stress enough on the importance of this particular signing of ours this season. Zubimendi would most likely be tasked with handling the entire defensive burden himself. Right? The idea, at least on paper, would be to liberate Odegaard and Rice so that they could go in front and contribute more goals to Arsenal. I really like what I've seen with Zubimendi so far, man. But it truly excites me to see how much better this player could become with more game time. He's been on our radar for a very, very long time. And not just us, Liverpool. Klopp's Liverpool. And I believe that's for a reason. And that reason will be unfolding over the next few months. And besides this, while they weren't tested at all, I wish I could say much about our defense, man. But I'm not that creative. Nottingham Forest weren't that creative either. A friend of mine, just to piss me off, sat next to me and supported Nottingham Forest. He gave up in precisely 8 seconds. You know what? I'm going to give this a shot. Timber, good. Calafiori, good. Gabby, good. Mosquera, good. Overall, solid display from Arsenal. Very purposeful attacking. And the only negative for me was that Rice was in my FPL team and he didn't start. I will see you next week when our beloved Manchester City will be visiting the Emirates. And until then, here's a little something extra.
What a game, what a scoreline. Arsenal have ripped up the champions.
Yeah, they've torn them to shreds in this last 25 minutes.